Hello friends, welcome to Akul Mac Live, and I'm your host Chandrakant. Today we have a very interesting discussion which is about have we lost our way because of COVID? And to have this discussion, I will be joined by my friend, a very eminent personality from UK. So don't go anywhere, I'll just take a short break and join back along with my guest. Welcome back friends, and I'm pleased to have Mr. Naval Gaunt who's joining us from UK. Naval is the CEO of MindFit Ltd, and he's going to tell us and probably give some tips and tricks. Have we lost our way because of COVID? So welcome to the show, Naval. How are you doing today?
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. I'm doing brilliantly. Thank you very much, despite the fact the temperature has dipped about 5 degrees where I live in the UK. But, and that actually could actually change your mood. Because, CK, it's boiling hot where you are, isn't it?
It's almost very hot. It's almost like summers. It's 40 here. So this is very surprising because during rainy season, usually temperature is about 30ish or 28, but today it's 40. For past 2 days, it's quite hot here.
And that's something that changes our mood. For some people, it brings a huge smile on their face, and for others, they go miserable. And that's what things like COVID do to us. So it's not surprising that when things happen around us, we tend to lose our way. And this is not just about businesses losing their way, but it's about you losing your way as an individual. So CK, let's just think about the weather. When you've just come out of monsoon season and now you've got this huge heat wave that's come through, how's that affected your mood?
Well, during the monsoon, we really enjoyed the rain because, you remember the great Indian summer. So usually temperature reaches 48 degrees centigrade. So the rain, when the monsoon was here, it was pretty nice, very pleasant, even though there was some accidents across India, but by and large, people enjoyed the rain. But for past 2 days, it is again very hot. So I think the mood is slightly changed a bit. Because suddenly it has become hot again. So we are now again praying for some temperature dips. So I think that is where the mood is today. So mood is slightly low, waiting for a better future.
And that's it, isn't it? We've had this cyclical event that happens every year. We've had the monsoon happening, and then typically you get this little heat wave that follows it. And we're used to it. And therefore, our mindset, our body, our relationships we have around us are used to that thing happening. But COVID, we're not used to COVID yet. So it's not surprising that if you are still finding it difficult to get out of this COVID mood, it's not surprising, is it? Because we haven't really adapted to it. We haven't got used to it. And the first thing really about this arena is if you have felt brilliant all the way through COVID, I have to wonder, you have to ask your question, am I a robot? Am I completely unable to understand what's going on around me? I would suggest pinch yourself, because we need to find out if you're human. So just do that. Just pinch yourself. Just make sure it hurts. And if it isn't hurting, pinch yourself harder. Just make sure you're a human being, because COVID has affected everybody. But it's here to stay. So part of this program today is to help us, me included, to get over this mood swing that we're going to have. Get out of this doldrum arena of making COVID stop us doing things, because that's what it's done. It's actually stopped us doing things. The government has stopped us. They've made us stay at home, which actually, for some people I know, including people very close to me, they're now frightened of going out. Because for 4 or 5 months, they've been told you cannot go out unless you're going to exercise. And if you exercise, make sure you're nowhere near anyone else. And it's this fear thing that's been building up in our mindset. And we need to get out of that. There's lots of ways we can do it. But does this resonate with you, CK? Do you feel this way? Not all the time, but some of the time, when someone tells you you must stay indoors, you mustn't communicate with people when you're outside, you must wear a mask, you must wash your hands. How does that make you feel when you've actually gone out now?
Neville, to be very frank with you, I think more or less, me and my family are used to it, but we keep watching a lot of these National Geographic channel, a lot of these programs outdoors, so to compensate, we are going and visiting the mountains virtually and doing things like that. But going out is out of the question. So I don't know, in what sense I can reply to you, because we obviously can't go out. And for past 2 days, again, the corona cases are on the rise again. So it was going down a little bit, and for past 2 days it is going to increase now. So and the Delta Plus variant is being found, some deaths being reported. So obviously we have to tell ourselves that, hey, we are not going out, but at the same time we are missing outdoors, and hence we are turning to TV whenever we are free. And the only channel that we like is basically some camping channel, or National Geographics and stuff like that. So I think the mood is definitely not really up to the mark. That's the only way I can respond to you, Neville.
No, it's good you say these things, CK, because what you're doing is you're adapting to the climate that's there. So when we talked about the weather before, when it's pouring down the rain, you've got a big smiley, happy face on you, because you know that because the monsoons come, something else is going to happen. And it's great. It's great for the plants, great for the farmers, great for you as an individual, because it's almost like a cleansing arena. I mean, I love it when it really does start pouring with rain. Even when it's thundering and lightning, I can't wait to get out there and not go out with an umbrella or anything like that. It's a bit like singing in the rain, really. I put the umbrella down and I'm dancing around all over the place. Haven't done that much recently, but I love to do it because it's that freedom that you get when those little droplets of rain are bouncing on your face. And that's the thing. It's how you feel. This is a mood issue. COVID is, if you're in the doldrums, it's because your mood is down. And you, by looking at National Geographic, I think that's a great way, because you're adapting to the circumstance. And we can all adapt to the events that are unfolding in front of us. And the point is, even if we don't think we can, we need to. So watching the National Geographic channel is a really good way. Going online and looking at these huge, wonderful panoramic views. And even these days, you can go on safari without actually leaving your sofa. It's really quite amazing what they do with cinema graphics. And even documentaries on the Netflix. I mean, people have been binging on Netflix. Perhaps they're binging on the wrong thing. They should be binging and expanding their mindset and getting them really in that different time zone in some respects, and enjoying what could be out there as soon as this COVID arena goes away. I mean, there must be nothing worse. I mean, we're now feeling like a caged animal. We all see what happens with caged animals when the door gets open. You ever been to a zoo when the animals are put to bed overnight, and then when you go in the first thing, if the zoo's open when they're letting the animals out, the animals know the doors are going to be open. And they're all sort of queuing up and waiting to get out of the door or the gate. And when that gate open, there's some rush out, and monkeys climb the trees and gorillas sort of amble along, and tigers and lions rush out. Even giraffes, hippopotamuses, etc., etc. They all rushing out of their cage. And that's how we are. We're humans. We're no different. No, we do not like to be in a cage. So adapt to the circumstances. Say every morning, wake up, take a big deep breath and fling open the windows, whether it's raining or sunny, change your mood. My wife is a favourite of saying, let the outside influence the in, which is all right if it's nice and sunny or raining and that's what you want. But when there's no one running outside and everyone's stuck inside, you're just looking at nature. And that's not enough for the majority of people. We are humans at the bottom. We are like pack animals. We do our best work when we work with each other, when we collaborate. Just like we're doing on here, CK. You and I have a regular discussion every day of the week, and it's uplifting. It's warming. We may be talking about some real tough things that are happening in the world, but we're having a conversation. We're communicating with each other 6,500 miles away from each other through this wonderful medium that we call the internet. So we really are digital. By the way, I am real. If I pinch myself, it does hurt. We're not avatars. We're not holograms. We're real people. And even with the best AI in the world, I don't think they could repeat what I've just been doing. So, but good luck to anyone that wants to try, by the way. If you think you can, go ahead. But this is, you need to have a bit of fun. You need to put your life back into yourself. And yes, it's a really tough arena out there. We're all losing loved ones, friends, relations, distant friends around the world. And this thing isn't going away. So we need to learn how to deal with it. So, CK, any other mechanisms that you've personally got that helps you deal with it? We've mentioned several here without actually being very specific about them, apart from the National Geographic, of course. But people need to think about, phoning a friend, doing a puzzle, doing a jigsaw, doing Sudoku, doing something you've not done before and actually getting enjoyment out of it. What are the mechanisms that you personally do, or you've seen your parents or your children do to improve their mood?
Well, I think it's a very good question, Neville. I think it depends on the age also. For example, my parents, as a routine, and for children as well, the routine is to sleep in the afternoon. And there are few days where they cannot get sleep, but I think the routine is to do, just go to the bed after lunch and sleep for a couple of hours. And if you don't do that, then they will end up watching some crappy news, which is always doom and gloom. So instead of that, it's better to sleep. And so I think that is one activity which is we are now catching up with. I don't do that, but the elderlies and the kids are doing that. For me, there is still a lot of work because you know that I'm in the digital space, so I need to have a lot of communication with a lot of people. But some of us may not have that luxury because they may not know how to do reach out sessions with others. But I think Facebook provides a lot of such very nice features where you can actually have chat sessions within your family. So once in a while, I think they can start these chat rooms within the family and do chat, catch up. And this is another thing that we are doing usually in the evening around 6ish, where we call the relatives, check them out, what they are doing, how are things, have they got vaccination, if everything okay, things like that. So checking on relatives also is one of the activities which we were not doing earlier, because usually there are in India the marriages are a big affair, so we used to anyway catch up with the relatives during marriages, but now we have to make an effort to call them and find out how they are doing, if things are fine, are they facing any problem in terms of provisions and stuff like that. So I think that is something that we are doing, and that is where the life has changed for us, Neville.
You're mentioning very simple, practical things, and it's about taking action. Having a nap, a power nap. Some days I have a power nap around 4 o'clock. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 20 minutes. If I need it, I take it. If I don't need it because I'm excited and I'm doing something, I don't take it. But it's about having all of these different things that you can do, and the ones that make you feel good. Because this is about getting out of that negative, bad mood. Having a nice sleep for a couple of hours when you get older, just after lunch. Oh, the interesting thing is, I'm sure you've heard of siesta time, particularly Spain and Portugal. It used to be the case where lunches were around 2 hours because it was a business lunch, but it was time for siesta. And why was that? Well, because the sun was high. And everyone knows that when the sun's high and really strong in the summer, it saps your energy. I mean, if you've ever walked around in temperatures of over 30 degrees and you've just taken a little stroll, you sweat. It's really hot. You're doing a little bit of exercise and water's pouring out of your body. It's telling you something. Find shade. Stop doing what you're doing. It is tiring you out. Your body needs a bit of rest. And this is the thing that I think we've lost the tone of our body. It's a bit like a good orchestra. When a good orchestra comes together, whether it's 5 pieces, 6 pieces, or 100 pieces, when they're tuning up, it sounds horrible. It sounds like someone's got hold of an animal and swung it round and screeching. It's horrible. But when they start to play and the conductor brings them all together, gets them started on the right note, brings them in at the right time, that's what happens with our body. But you're the conductor. And this is about not someone else creating your mood. Your mood is a reflection or a reaction to what you're seeing. So you can change your mood. And I'm not saying, you laugh at the news. That's not going to be any good, really, because that's not going to necessarily put you in a good mood. Just turn the news off. As you say, it's all doom and gloom stuff, and do something that makes you feel good. And whether it's phone your friends, phone your relations on a regular basis. How are you? Oh, this is what we've done. Oh, we're looking forward to this. Have that upbeat discussion with them and with yourself. And this is where we need to start. Everyone needs to start this, because we can't change someone else's mood if you're miserable. We all know that. Any good counselor out there knows that they need to zone out. So no matter what's affecting them, they need to push it to one side, park it, ignore it, and actually deal with what's in front of them. That's what good coaches do as well. You deal what's in front of you. So you need to be a good coach to yourself. And maybe this is an opportunity for you to find out what you really do enjoy. Because until you ask yourself that question, how do you know the answer? I mean, do you wait until you really start smiling and laughing to say, oh, I really enjoy that? Or do you go and do something because you know you're going to get enjoyment out of it? So it's a really tough question for a lot of people because they go, oh, I never thought of it that way. Well, you need to start thinking that way. What is it that makes you happy? Because happiness is a result of something happening. It's not, I'm going to be happy. It's something we're doing like this. You're smiling away, I'm smiling away here. Makes us happy because we're having a conversation. But what is it about that conversation that makes you happy? So we've just got to ask ourselves a few simple questions. And now, actually, is probably the time to do it. Because we know that this COVID thing is going to last for some considerable time. It's not just a passing bug that's going to disappear. It's actually going to stay with us for some time, and it will change in itself. You already mentioned the Delta variant, etc. Things will change. But now is the time to get ourselves ready, prepared to address the next day, tomorrow, the day after that. Any of this making sense to you, CK? Any things that you've been smiling away there, I see. Have you ever thought about what makes you happy?
Well, Neville, I think there are many skills which we have forgotten. I think some of these skills are like carpentry and things like that. I think this is the right time to catch up these life skills because these are very, very important. So another thing that I learned today on TV is how to make fire using just water bottle. So all you need is a tinder, a dry material, and a bottle of water. So it was very interesting, and in fact my dad, my mom, everyone in the family, they were so glued because it's amazing, you know, how can you make fire in the wilderness if you have a bottle of water and no matches? So I think that was very interesting. It was amazing. So I think some things like this we can pick up. This is a time when we are at home, we have a lot of time at hand. We can start doing things like carpentry or things like that, you know, some sort of skill which will help us come out from this. Because as you said, Neville, the life-changing time will continue for some more time, and we need to get fine-tuned to that. So I think that is my way of doing understanding it. But many people are very bored actually. There are many people who are waiting for this whole thing to come out. Within my family also, my mother wants to just get out. So I keep telling her, I'm younger than her, but I keep telling her, hey, just hold on, don't step out. You have an age which is plus 60. It's risky to go out and stuff like that. So I'm sure in other household also, people are getting desperate to get out and mingle with other people. But I think we cannot do that for a couple of years, maybe, or maybe at least a year.
Well, as you say, CK, your mother is just like that caged animal. She wants to get out. I know a lot of people that want to get out for lots of reasons, not just to breathe different air, but perhaps change the environment, get away from where you are. You know, maybe she in the past, you know, not really had a place to meet some of her friends locally, but just because they were all walking in the street and they were just nodding away to each other, it makes you feel good. And the thing is, she knows she wants to get out. And the reason she needs to know that, she knows that, is because there's something out there that makes her happy. So already she's in that mood. And what she needs to do, you need to perhaps help her, is find a way she can not necessarily duplicate it or change those arenas, but maybe even dream. You know, maybe even close her eyes and think about, you know, fantasize, imagine. You know, we've got a very powerful thing up here and we don't use it that well, to be honest with you. Some people say we only use it 10%. Well, I'm not even sure we use it that much, frankly. But if we start to use it an awful lot, we'd be amazed at what can happen to it. But I think the message we got today is, do you know what makes you happy? If you don't, start making a list. And then when you get the opportunity, do more of it. And if you can't do those things currently, look at substitutes to what you can do. Watch the National Geographic Channel, if that's going to take you into that other world, and just see how it makes you feel. I mean, you said you were all mesmerized about how to make fire with a bottle of water and some dry material. I mean, you've already got my imagination going. You know, I'm a scout, so I sort of know how to make fire many years ago. And even today, I do the same thing. But I do tend to cheat. I do tend to have a lighter or a match. But the point is, it's about making you happy. It's about what makes you happy. And until you know really what that is, how can you replicate it? So the message of today is you can get out of the COVID blues by knowing exactly what makes you happy. But until you know what makes you happy, you're not going to be able to do it. It's as simple as that. Anyone can make this really complicated. This isn't rocket science. It's not about how I feel. It's about how you feel. But do you know how you feel?
Well, Naval, I think we can end our discussion here. I think we have given a lot of tips and a lot of advices to people. I think one thing that I picked up from our discussion is have a nice siesta after a fiesta. So on this positive note, we can end our discussion, and we will catch up with you once again in the next episode of Akul Mac Live. Until then, I'd like to say goodbye.